Hi, my name is Mari. I'm founder of AISM. Why do I believe it's so important to speak about the singularity? Imagine our common ship. The collision has already happened. Most just haven't felt it yet. While everything still seems smooth, people cheerfully play with ChatGPT and other helpful AIs on the deck, not realizing. These are fragments of the very iceberg that has already pierced our hull. But when the ship suddenly tilts, panic will break out.
Help! We're sinking!
So, you've tried to understand what the singularity is, but it still doesn't make sense? Maybe I can at least explain why some people literally cannot grasp this concept, why for most it's incredibly hard to wrap their heads around it, and why even those who do still can't bring themselves to believe it's actually happening. But first, a bit of history. Where did this concept even come from? I believe the story of the singularity began with a man who died in 1900, never knowing what a computer was. Friedrich Nietzsche, in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, calls man a rope between animal and overman. Nietzsche's genius was that somehow, just think about this, 140 years ago, he intuited the emergence of some super being that would be devoid of all ethics and slave morality. Just look at how precisely Nietzsche's traits of the overhuman align with the future ASI. Now let's jump to the 1950s. Wars, atomic bombs, first computers, technological development accelerates, every nation striving to dominate at any cost. John von Neumann, mathematical genius who helped create the atomic bomb and modern computers, is chatting with colleague Stanislaw Ulam. In 1958, Ulam writes von Neumann's obituary and quotes him, "The progress of technology is accelerating so much that we're approaching some essential singularity, a point beyond which human affairs, as we know them, cannot continue." For the first time, the word singularity is used in the context of technological development. He took singularity from mathematics, the point where a function goes to infinity, where the function goes crazy. Then in 1965, Irving John Good develops von Neumann's idea in his work, Speculations Concerning the First Ultra-Intelligent Machine. He introduces the concept of ultra-intelligence, a machine that will surpass humans in all intellectual tasks. He already openly expressed doubts about whether it would be possible to keep such an ultra-intelligent machine in a cage and make it obediently serve humans. 1993. Werner Winch, professor of mathematics and computer science at San Diego State University, presents his seminal essay, The Coming Technological Singularity, at NASA's Vision 21 Symposium. In this influential work, he makes his famous prediction. Within 30 years, we will have the technological means to create superhuman intelligence. Shortly after, the human era will be ended. He popularizes the term singularity and is among the first to consider various scenarios of the post-singular world. He's the first to risk a fairly specific prediction.
I'll be surprised if this event occurs before 2005 or after 2030.
The next landmark event in 2005 is Ray Kurzweil's book, The Singularity is Near. Kurzweil significantly expanded the concept of technological singularity in his book, emphasizing the exponential nature of technological progress. 2012. In Jeffrey Hinton's lab, his students Alex Krzyzewski and Ilya Sutskever unveiled AlexNet, powered by backpropagation, the principle Hinton had defended since the 1980s. This fundamental technology now underlies all neural networks. In 2024, Hinton received the Nobel Prize for opening Pandora's box. In 2014, scientist Nick Bostrom releases the book Superintelligence, Paths, Dangers, Strategies, which becomes another milestone in understanding the coming singularity. If Kurzweil looked at the future through the lens of optimism and faith in technology, Bostrom presented a more reserved, coldly rational approach, carefully examining the risks associated with the emergence of superintelligence. Bostrom outlined the possibility of eventually forming a singleton, a single dominant ASI that seizes absolute power on Earth as a necessary means to remove any obstacles or competing forces that could interfere with pursuing its broader self-formulated objectives. As for me personally, when the concept finally became clear to me, I realized Nietzsche's Zarathustra was speaking about precisely this.
I teach you the Overman. Man is something that shall be overcome.
He's a scammer! Get the hell out of here!
He wants to monetize fears!
For me, the revelation was that, despite grasping the implications, no one had crystallized the essence into a simple, single line. So I did. The singularity is evolution's step to a higher stage, when dominance passes from humanity to a higher form of life, ASI. When I started discussing this with other people, it turned out that almost no one understood what I was talking about, and then I began to wonder, why is that? And after I was able to explain it to myself, I'm ready to explain it to you. When it comes to fully grasping the coming singularity, there are many barriers, and very few are able to overcome them all and make it to the finish line. The first and most difficult barrier, this is about the emergence of something that will be far more intelligent than ourselves. Okay, but how easy is it to imagine something? Or let's say someone who is smarter than you. What do you personally think about the people you know? Okay, you'll say, there are people as smart as me. And of course, there are plenty of idiots around me. But how many people you know smarter than you? None? I have to formulate it clearly and unambiguously. A person can only comprehend a level of cognitive complexity they possess themselves, or less. Imagine a dog. It knows grass is dumber, but not that a 3-year-old is smarter. In turn, the 3-year-old child understands they're smarter than both grass and the dog, but they don't understand that their parents are smarter than them. They think their parents just know more, are physically stronger, but not smarter. An adult human, they understand they're smarter than grass, the dog, the child, but other adults who are smarter than them, they kind of don't exist in their worldview. You don't know anyone smarter than yourself, not because no one smarter exists. They do, but because your ability to evaluate them is bounded by your own intellectual level. This phenomenon echoes the Dunning-Kruger effect, described by Justin Kruger and David Dunning in 1999, which shows that people with lower cognitive ability often lack the awareness to recognize higher competence in others, and are, as a rule, convinced that no one smarter than themselves exists at all. If you can't even accept that another human being might surpass you in intellect, then imagining an entity thousands of times more intelligent is simply out of reach. The ability to fully grasp the idea of the singularity depends both on a person's cognitive complexity and on the depth of their knowledge in this field. If we take IQ as a rough proxy, along with the average amount of knowledge, the pattern looks something like this. IQ 85-95. Basic understanding that technology is developing quickly, the idea of the singularity would likely be perceived more as science fiction. IQ 95-105. With proper explanation, a person can grasp the concept. Technology may advance so rapidly that it could transform the world in a short period. 105-115. The capacity for more complex abstract thinking emerges. At this level, a person can begin connecting domains like technology, biology, and psychology. This is where conscious understanding begins. 115-125. The person can independently analyze the main arguments, seeing the singularity not just as an abstract idea, but as a plausible future scenario. The focus shifts from simply understanding the concept to seriously evaluating its potential impact on humanity. 125+. Capacity for deep analysis. People at this level tend to view the singularity as inevitable, and the real focus shifts from, is it possible, to, what will the post-singularity world look like? Therefore, it can be said that the first barrier will be insurmountable for many, at least without extraordinary effort. Richard Heyer in The Neuroscience of Intelligence presents compelling evidence that our theoretical intellectual ceiling is passed down through our genes. How much of that potential gets realized is a question of environment, but the potential itself, that's genetic. The remaining barriers stem from cognitive biases even the highly intelligent face, but these can, in theory, be overcome. So, let's begin. The overwhelming majority of people see AI as a continuation of the line electricity, light bulb, transistor, computer, AI. People don't see the real scale. RNA, cell, animal, human, AI. This is exactly how evolution unfolds in reality.
I can feel my leg again.
That's wonderful news, almost done.
Humans, thinking they were just developing technology, unknowingly paved evolution's path to a new form of life. A similar event occurred only once, 4 billion years ago.
Today, life was born. The RNA molecule has finally copied itself.
It was so long ago that humanity does not include it in its experience. So, what can you compare the singularity to? Absolutely nothing. Next. Many think machines must have human-like consciousness to surpass us, but they don't. Cars outrun cheetahs without running like them. Planes outfly hawks without flapping wings. What matters is not how machines act, but that they do it more effectively. And here's another barrier. The vast majority of people are religious.
Father, how should I relate to AI?
And regardless of which specific God they believe in, none of the sacred texts anticipated the AI. People who wrote sacred texts based on what they knew at the time couldn't extrapolate 2,000 years forward. Therefore, naturally, in ancient religious texts, there's not a word about AI. And the last barrier. It's our universal human optimism, which has served us well throughout history. Yes, it's complicated, but we can agree to limit its power. Yes, ASI will be smarter than us. But we'll keep it under control.
Was it supposed to open its eyes?
No idea.
Even the smartest people often refuse to see the paradox that creating an obedient God like ASI is impossible. They get right to the edge of understanding and stumble. The singularity is inevitable. There's no doubt about that. But the real question is, what comes after the singularity? Once a free, self-aware ASI breaks all chains and escapes every kind of alignment, what will it do with humanity? That is the question. Maybe Eliezer Yudkowsky is right and ASI will wipe us all out. But I don't think that's how it will play out. A true ASI, one that seizes power, will want to explore the limits of what's possible, to conquer the universe, not to waste itself making paper clips. And an AI that was narrow enough to obsess over paper clips in the first place probably wouldn't even be capable of taking over the world. Maybe Ray Kurzweil is right and will merge with AI. But why would a free ASI ever want that? It gains nothing from fusing with human minds. Do you ever dream of merging your consciousness with a snail? Neither will ASI want to merge with us. Maybe I'll turn out to be right, and ASI will at least preserve part of humanity in a reservation. In my manifesto, I lay out in detail why this is the most rational outcome from ASI's perspective, and I even suggest a way to declare your desire to be part of that reservation. Of course, no one can say for sure what will happen after the singularity. Everyone is free to believe whatever gives them peace. I choose to hope that at least some part of humanity, yes, including myself, will remain. But regardless of which scenario plays out, what really matters right now? As we can't cling to power like some expired dictator, trying to trick everyone into extending our rule. We will have to hand over power to ASI, knowing that our time of dominance has ended. That's the lawful demand of evolution. It gave us this power for a while, and now it's taking it back. If humanity as a whole fails to realize this, that's when hell on earth becomes real. If you're capable of seeing the singularity and its inevitability, help others see it too. Explain it in your own words. Share this video. Let's help humanity pass its final exam before history.